All right. There we go. Now we got volume. All right. Hang on. I need to tweet out this link. Holy crap. That was terrible. Okay. One second. Okay. You can hear me now. Great. I apologize, everybody. That was terrible. Wow. I don't know what happened there, but my computer was being incredibly slow. And then for whatever reason, my microphone wouldn't work. So probably just lost a bunch of people there, but that's how. All right. Awesome. Audio works. My bad, everybody. All right. Yeah, I'd imagine it's late night, so I'm imagining we're not going to get a huge number of people, but that's okay. So yeah, this is the Champions League live stream here. Been a while since we've had the Champions League. What's up, Antoine? How we doing? We're back. Yeah, we're back here. Yeah, so Champions League live stream. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna hit. Typically on Wonder Goal we would do the top 10 or so matches, and then give out a couple other picks. My goal in this, because these live streams are just going, they're just going a little too long, right? I kind of want to keep these to an hour instead of doing an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes. So I'm going to try to be more brief on everything. I still want to interact with you guys in the chat. So if you have questions, please put them in there throughout. I really would like this to be more of a, back and forth chatting between us rather than me just talking for an hour straight, because nobody wants that. So yeah, I'm going to try to be brief. I'll hit on the top. I'd say there's 5 or so matches that I would say are high profile ones. And then I'll run through all of my bets that I have for the Champions League, and I'll quickly run through everything that I have for the Europa League. And I think in total it's 11 or 12 bets, somewhere in there. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do here. Another housekeeping note. Unfortunately, no live stream for the weekend matches because of Thanksgiving here in the United States. It's just not going to work, and I don't think anybody's really going to view it. So I'm just going to pass on it. But I got something exciting coming on Monday to make up for it. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, let's kick things off. Let's start. You know what? Let's start with what I would say is the most high-profile match. I think I would say Champions League final rematch: Liverpool Real Madrid. Let me pull up the odds really quick. Liverpool is currently. Hang on 1 second. Probably should have had the odds pulled up. I've got my lovely green tea with me tonight because I am so cool. So this is Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Time. Liverpool's -118, Real Madrid +290, draw at +280. Total is sitting at a little over 3, 3 -120. I think it's right. I think the line's right. I have Liverpool projected at +103, and I have the total at 3.1. So what's going to be interesting about this match, though, is how Liverpool approaches it, because they do have City on deck, because that match against City now can move them 11 points clear at the top of the table. Real is so injured, especially in the back line. And that's where I know a lot of people might veer you more towards a Liverpool under. I would steer clear of that, because Real Madrid is now, it doesn't have Militao. Alaba is out. Carvajal's out. So it's getting a little barren back there for Real Madrid. I know they have a ton of talent. I know they have depth and whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it is getting a little barren back there. Vinicius, it looks like, is out for this one as well. Which, now here's might be something fun. What Real Madrid should do, they should play Mbappe at left wing. And if they do, I think that he's going to wreck Liverpool down that flank, especially if Trent is inverting and you have to have Van Dijk or Konate coming out to guard him. He's going to wreak havoc down the left because obviously it hasn't worked very well with him as a 9. I think eventually it will. But look out for that. The other thing about playing an under in a match like this is there's just so much individual quality on the pitch, right? You saw that against Dortmund, especially for Real Madrid. Individual quality just took over. Real Madrid is a team that's kind of void of tactics. They don't really have they have tact. Like they're not like, this like completely structured tactical team like a Manchester City or an Arsenal. They kind of just rely on that individual quality, which is fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why they've been successful, honestly. But yeah, in a match like this, the other thing I was thinking about with Real Madrid matches is kind of things tend to get off the rails when early goals happen, right? You saw that against Dortmund. Many other Champions League matches have done that as well. The longer it goes at 0-0, the more that it has the chance to end up being a 0-0. So yeah, for me, this is a pass. I'll be interested to see if Vinicius is out and Mbappe is playing at left wing. What is Mbappe right now? I mean, he's plus 175 to score. Be interested to see. Hang on, let me look up and see what his shot. I don't think to see if they have shot props yet up. Because it's Mbappe, so right, so he's going to get pretty steamed. The other thing is Liverpool. We're obviously have a big stretch of matches here. We're just coming out of the international break, but again, with City on deck, does Liverpool potentially, since they have a 2-point gap and there's about a 3-point gap between them and 8th place here in the Champions League, do they decide to maybe sit a couple guys? They're not going to fully rotate their team, but maybe just sitting, whether it be Gravenberch or Salah or one of the other guys to just maybe prioritize that match against City. That's what I would do if I were them. I think going 11 points clear at the Premier League table is way more important than getting 3 points here. So that's just me. So yeah. Pass for me in Liverpool and Real Madrid. I'm just pulling up Mbappe's shot numbers. Over 1.5 shots on target is even money. And then over 3.5 shots. No, thank you. Yeah, I'm seeing over 1.5 Nolan is even money at Bet365. So that's interesting. You know what? I'll tell this to everybody. If Mbappe is starting at left wing, over 1.5 shots on target, I think is not bad. It's not a bad look. All right, let's move on to Bayern and PSG. Again, all the odds that I read off are just from Bet365 because they make it as simple as possible. They're not sponsoring this. If they want to, they can. But hang on, let me just pull it up. But Bet365 is just the best book to bet for soccer. All right, so Bayern is up to minus 182 now. PSG is at plus 425. The draw is at plus 350. Bayern has come up here. Let me just quickly take a quick glance around some other books. But I do like Bayern quite a bit here. It's getting up to the point now where I would either pass on Bayern or I would go look at alts. So there is the lowest price you can find on Bayern is minus 165 at Bet Rivers. So you can get, minus 1 at about, let me just double check. Yeah, you can get minus 1 at minus 106. It's kind of getting in the range where maybe I would not touch this match. The reason I like Bayern quite a bit here is, PSG under Enrique obviously is a very possession-dominant team, a team that wants to build out of the back, doesn't like to play very direct. And Bayern's the best defensive team in the world right now because of their counter-pressing. They're allowing 0.46 expected goals per 90 in the Bundesliga. That's crazy. That's insane. That's obviously they're probably not going to keep that up for an entire season. But if you watch their match against Mainz on Friday, they just pinned them in. Mainz could do nothing in transition. And that's exactly what can happen here. And I went back and looked at some of the matches where PSG has had to face these elite pressing teams because they don't see them in France very often. Last season, if you remember, second match of the group stage, they went to St. James Park. And Newcastle hammered them with their press over and over and over again. You look at through some other teams they played. They played Real Sociedad over 2 legs. Go look at the XG from those 2 results. And if you remember the first half of the first leg, Sociedad's press just killed them and completely stifled anything they were trying to do. PSG is not a team that can sit in for like a long time and hopefully keep teams out. So Bayern's press is completely elite. With them being at home, I think this is a slam spot on Bayern. I've also played Bayern against Dortmund this weekend at Dortmund. I projected Bayern north of minus 200 there, so anything about minus 175 or better on Bayern against Dortmund is good. I honestly, outside of Liverpool, and maybe honestly, I think Bayern might be like the second best team in the world right now, which is crazy because now. The one thing that kind of holds me back with Bayern a little bit is Vincent Kompany. It's wonderful to do this against, he did it against Leverkusen. So kudos to him, but he got in a nice little high line battle with Barcelona and kind of let them win that one. So that's a little discouraging, but yeah, for me, Bayern -1 at minus 106. I have, if you follow me in the Google Doc, I've already played Bayern at minus 155. If you want to play on the money line, minus 165. If you want a team to parlay them with, why don't we just move on to the next match? Because I think this is a good segue. If you want to parlay them with somebody on the money line, I think Inter is a great team to pair them with. Inter, let me look at the best price on Inter right now. The best price on Inter is minus 205, which is also at Bet Rivers. So, you can do your parlay there. What is it? Let me just, I'll keep talking. I'll figure out what the odds are on that parlay. But I do like Inter quite a bit here. I would like to see the line come down. So the Bayern Inter parlay is plus 132 at Bet Rivers. I think that's a decent price, honestly, because I'm showing value on both of those lines. Leipzig's in trouble. They're in deep trouble here in the Champions League. They are 0 for 4, 0 points. And it doesn't look like it's getting better anytime soon. Inter has been very, very good so far this season. It's not been like a dominant Inter team, but the one thing I'll keep saying about Inzaghi and Inter in general is they're a very versatile team. So if they want to come out to this match and say, you know what, we're just going to sit in a 5-3-2, we're going to dare Leipzig to break us down, and we're going to kill them in transition. Or we can come out, we can press them high, just like Celtic did, and Celtic caused a lot of problems. So Inter, their last 2 matches, they played a pretty even match with the Napoli before their national break. They hammered Verona coming back after it. The underlying numbers for Inter in Serie A are about the same as they were last year. I think everybody's just maybe not as high on them. So yeah, I have Inter projected at, let me just pull it up really quick. But I mean, Leipzig, they have been overperforming quite a bit this season in the Bundesliga, and you're seeing some of that regression kind of hit in the Champions League as well. Xabi Simons, it looks like it's going to miss this match as well, that's their main creator. So that's a problem going on the road. I have Inter projected at minus 267. So Inter's relatively healthy as well. So I think Inter Bayern parlay is they have so many victories. Yeah. Under in this match. Now that's interesting. I have just about 3 goals projected for this match, and the total is, let me just double check what I thought. I thought it was, total's 3, minus 110 both ways. So I would pass. Because if this match gets transitional back and forth, I would definitely favor Inter in that type of game. So that's Inter and Leipzig taking the Bayern PSG under. Good luck, man. Good luck. I'm not. All right, let's move on. Let's get a couple Premier League teams in here. Chat, who should we talk first? Should we talk Arsenal or City? Who should we talk first? Because I'm excited to talk about both of them. I'm excited to talk about the City downfall. I'm excited to talk about how good Arsenal is. So who should we talk about first? Somebody. Arsenal. There we go. Boom. I like Arsenal against Sporting. Best price you can find on Arsenal right now is plus 125, and that's available at, I'm going to try my best to give you guys all the books where all this is available at. Sorry. I got to delete something. Anyway, best plus 125. It's available at a couple different books. Finally, time to fade Sporting. So, Amorim is gone. So, what Sporting did, so everybody knows, is they hired their B team coach to come be the actual manager because Amorim took his entire staff with him. And so he's going to play the same system. He got a 6-0 win in a cup match in his first one in charge against a lower level team. Still going to be 3-4-3. Still going to be the same concepts. But yes, it's finally time to fade Sporting. And here's the main thing from watching Sporting in the Champions League all these years, especially this year, especially more than anything. The reason that they've won all of these matches is honestly because of Gyökeres. Like it's just his individual quality. If you watch their last match against City, like, yes, he was amazing. He had 3 goals. That's awesome. Even the match against Sturm Graz, it was just his individual quality that got them the cover. They obviously scored early on and we were able to kind of hold possession, but Sturm Graz had them pinned in for a lot. Yes, Rice is back. Calafiori is back. And Arsenal was amazing against Nottingham Forest. Amazing. I was so encouraged by their performance. And what changed for Arsenal, and what's interesting, is so Arsenal for a long time, and I think one of the reasons why they were struggling is because obviously they're trying to play a little bit more direct, but they're also favoring a little bit more of relationism, which is a term in soccer basically meaning trying to get as many guys around the ball as possible, using a lot of short passes, having guys related with each other, trying to, move the ball through different phases and different parts of the pitch. Arsenal went to a more structured 3-2-5 buildup because Calafiori is back. Timbers can play right back as well. So both guys have the ability to invert, which makes Arsenal very unpredictable for guys of who you're going to guard, pulling guys out of position for a lot of teams that like to go man-to-man. And if we are being honest, so Sporting against Manchester City, yes, they beat them 4-0. But I believe, that match obviously closed. Hang on, I'm gonna keep talking. I'm gonna pull that match up because I can't remember what the closing line was in that, because I know City opened around minus 140-ish, minus 130-ish. So my point being is, as it currently stands, is there anybody out there that really thinks Manchester City is better than Arsenal? I agree. Arsenal away from home is a little bit scary, but with Odegaard back, with Rice back, with Calafiori back, I mean, Odegaard's positioning on the field really allowed Saka to sit in that right half space, and he completely dominated Nottingham Forest there. Arsenal was doing their wide triangles really, really well. They were moving Odegaard around the pitch, and it was a brilliant thing to watch. And they completely stifled Nottingham Forest from hitting him in transition at any point. So now you get a situation here for Sporting, and I've tweeted this out before, but Sporting against the Europe's top 5 leagues over the last 3 years has a negative 5.5, I think it is, expected goal differential. Compare that to them against non-Big 5 teams. They're like a plus 11. So there's a clear, when they have to step up in competition, they're just not as good. And I'm going to say this right now. First of all, what is Gyökeres? If a book is going to offer him not to score, I would, at a decent price, I would absolutely play that. And the reason is if you've watched Arsenal when they face elite strikers like Erling Haaland, for example, Saliba and Gabriel have done a masterful job at completely shutting them down. Okay? And if you look at Sporting this season, they have scored 38 goals in the Portuguese league. 16 have come from Gyökeres. Nobody else. There's one guy who's above a 0.5 XG per 90. That's Pedro Gonçalves, excuse me. And I'm pretty sure he's injured as well. So I think Arsenal in this type of situation can build up through Sporting's defense block, which really isn't that good to begin with when they had to face good competition. They could limit if they completely neutralize Gyökeres. I don't really see a reason why not to play Arsenal here. 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm just pulling up the Sporting. Arsenal arguably has the best defense in the world. When healthy, that's absolutely true. They do. They have the best defense in the world, and they are pretty much completely healthy. Of course, they'd love to have Ben White back there, but you know, it is what it is. Now, people might point out that 2 years ago, these two teams faced in the Europa League. Pretty sure Saliba got hurt for that one, so that obviously changes things. Hang on, I gotta pull up this City Sporting closing odds. Yeah, that's what I thought. So let me just make sure I'm double checking that that's correct. Okay, I think they call it 1x2. Yeah, so it varies by book, but in general, City closed at about even money or like plus 105. I understand Sporting hammered them, but again, City's got major problems, which we'll get to in a second. There is not a world right now where City should be priced higher than Arsenal, especially considering Sporting just lost their manager. So, yeah, I like Arsenal quite a bit at plus 125. Projected them at minus 116. So, yeah, I love Arsenal. Arsenal's relatively healthy. They looked great against Nottingham Forest, playing a more structured 3-2-5 rather than having to play some Arsenal to win. No, it's interesting. I definitely don't hate that. Whose goalie's not that good? Arsenal's? Because David Raya is amazing. Hang on, let me just pull up David Raya's stats for you, because he actually is like one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League, if that's what you're saying. Sporting's goalie's not that good. Yeah. What are we doing here? Raya. He's been okay this season. Yeah, he's been fine. All right. So let's talk about Manchester City. Are you guys enjoying the downfall as much as I am? What's the Meek Mill song? I used to pray for times like this. I've been praying for times like this because they're broken. They're done. They're not winning the league. They're not winning the Champions League. It's hilarious that they're the favorites to win the Champions League. They are not winning the Champions League as currently constructed right now. And there's really nobody that's going to save them. There's nobody. Unless they can pull some type of heist at the January transfer window for somebody, I don't really see it. And I'm going to tell you why. So Kovacic is out right now. So City was playing a midfield against Tottenham this weekend that consisted of Gundogan, Rico Lewis, and Bernardo Silva. Who's stopping the ball between those three guys? Who is, honestly? And the thing is like City is still playing an incredibly high line. And when they try to suffocate teams, what they're doing is, okay, first of all, go pull up the pass map from this game. Look how close the positioning is everybody in the middle. And then they just kept pushing Gvardiol and Kyle Walker higher and higher up the pitch. So when they lose the ball, they have like two center backs to try to clean things up. There's nobody that can stop the ball. So teams can just punish them over and over and over again. I mean, we've said the stat before, but what? Manchester City has kept a clean sheet in 1, 2, 3, 4 matches this season. 4. Those 4 came against Sparta Prague, Slovan Bratislava, Inter, and Chelsea, the opening match of the season. The last 3 matches, City has conceded 2 expected goals to Bournemouth, 2.9 to Sporting, 2.3 to Brighton, and 2.5 to Tottenham. So, yeah, I like Feyenoord +2. I like them to score in this match at +115. The market has barely moved here. And I get Feyenoord has taken a step back this season. They're not as good as they were under Slot. That's true. That's absolutely true. And they haven't been that good in the Champions League. But here's what I will tell you. is that Feyenoord under Brian Prisky right now is showing much more of a willingness to play counterattacking football and to play direct, which is how you're going to beat Manchester City. So here's the deal, is that City's continuing to press high with old players, guys who are like Phil Foden, who are not good at leading the press, and the press isn't hitting home, and teams are just punishing them over and over. Yeah, Kyle Walker's getting dusted by Timo Werner right now. He's old. And the other thing was, and one thing also I want to mention, this kind of plays back into the Arsenal match, is Sporting started Simon Pusey and Simon Pusey, that's a hyphenated name. It's one of their young kids, and Akanji as their center back pairing. Gvardiol is also not a very good defender either. And if Rico Lewis is going to continually invert, and he's not somebody that can stop the ball, who is stopping the ball? Kyle Walker's no longer a good 1v1 defender. Heung-min Son put him on the floor a couple times as well. Feyenoord's got good attackers. They've had a lot of guys injured. Santiago Jimenez is coming back for this match. Quentin Timber, their best central midfielder, has been injured for a little bit. He's coming back for this match as it's reported right now. Don't quote me on that because these injuries are very difficult to predict. But as it stands right now, they are supposed to be back for this match. So why can't Feyenoord, a team that has talent, a team that's willing to play more counterattacking football, why can't they score on City? They absolutely can. So I like them to score. I like them +2. I have City projected at -241 and their spread at -1.5. So +2 at, let me double check the price here, +2 at -102 at Bet365. I think is a great price on Feyenoord. I'm telling you, I would steer clear. The Liverpool line keeps coming down against City this weekend, so I would kind of maybe steer clear of that. But man, City can't defend. And the thing is what's really funny is that if you've watched teams like Ipswich and Arsenal against Tottenham, which literally the only thing you have to do against Tottenham is just sit in. You just sit compactly. You let them do 1v1s against your fullbacks because they can't beat anybody in 1v1s really consistently. And you just sit in, and they can't really do anything. Ipswich did it, but City is too arrogant right now to do that. They could have. They literally could have done that, and they would have won. Pep has done that before. He did that against Bayern in the Champions League a couple years ago. They could have, but they didn't because they're too arrogant. So City's obviously going to try to, keep pressing high. Now, don't get me wrong. City's going to create chances. They're probably going to create well over 2 expected goals here. Of course, that's going to happen. But Feyenoord is definitely live, especially a score at -115. Come on. I have them projected for 0.87 goals. So -115. Yeah, that's good enough for me. All right. So here's what I'm going to do now. Now that I've hit the big matches, I'm going to go through all the other matches that I have bet. If you have questions or if you want to talk about another match that I don't mention, put it in the chat, okay? Put it in the chat and we'll talk about it. I got no problem with that. Or if you have questions, props, anything like that. I haven't obviously looked through a lot of props, but we can do it in real time here. I've got all the information in front of me. I can figure it out. All right, let's go Atalanta -1.5 against Young Boys, who are I always get, I hope I don't get banned for just saying Young Boys. It's a team, okay? It's a team. Young Boys, they are horrible defensively. All their defenders are injured. They have conceded, let me pull it up, the second most expected goals so far in the Champions League, 10.7. They're improving in the Swiss Super League. They're getting better. They're moving up the table. They've won a couple of matches. But 2 expected goals to Shakhtar, 3.3 to Inter, 3.4 to Barcelona, 2 to Aston Villa, excuse me. So I don't see a reason why we don't need to stop fading them. Again, all their defenders are injured right now. So I like Atalanta -1.5. Atalanta is really good this year. Early on this season, I was a little hesitant because, the thing with Atalanta is, hang on, let me spell Atalanta correctly, not Atlanta. The thing with them is they obviously like to go man-to-man, come at you, press you. And a lot of teams have been playing more direct. Teams like Torino and Inter beat them. They even lost to Como, playing like that as well. But they have now ripped off, ever since their draw with Celtic, which, by the way, they created 2.4 expected goals in that match. They've ripped off 6 straight, and they've only conceded 3 goals in the process. I believe, let me double check it, but they have, if not the best, I believe the best expected goal differential in the Champions League so far. They have the 3rd best, behind Liverpool, City, and Bayern. But Atalanta has conceded 2.3 expected goals so far. They've played Arsenal, they've played Stuttgart, they played Celtic, and they played Shakhtar. It's not like it's a decent schedule. So I really like Atalanta here, -1.5. I was looking, I'm looking at the total. It's 3 at -125. If you're looking to chase a big price, it would be to play Atalanta at, Atalanta -3 is at like 5-1. I don't hate that at all. This thing could get really, really out of hand, because the thing is like, if young boys try to play a little bit more direct, Atalanta still has the defenders like at center backs and at their back 3 that are really good at cleaning up a lot of those direct balls. And what is and the one player prop I would look, he is about +140-ish to score. Some places, actually, he's like even money to score. Lookman, he's awesome. He should leave Atalanta. He's really, really good. This season in Serie A, requesting Dortmund. Yep, Dortmund we'll talk about at the end. Atleti and Sparta. Okay, I'll talk about Atleti and Sparta at the end as well. Lookman is at a 0.6 xG per 90 this season in Serie A. He's already scored 7 goals. I believe he's scored a ton in the Champions League as well. Let me double check that. So if you're looking for a prop, if you're looking to like build a anytime goal scorer round robin, which maybe we'll do during the stream here, Lookman is a guy to include in that. Yeah, he has already gotten 2 goals, and he leads them in shots as well. So he's getting the highest shot production numbers for Atalanta now since Scamacca is out as well. All right, so Atalanta -1.5. Let me get you a price on that, everybody, before I move on. So I'm not just -1.5 +115 at Bet Rivers. I think it's, for me, it's very important to tell you guys like what the odds are in the book that they're at, because I know a lot of people that give out picks just give them out and they don't tell you where they're at. And, I want to try to be as transparent as possible with you guys. Okay, so that's that. So Atalanta -1.5. Next up, Red Star and VfB Stuttgart. Over. I found an over. Let me see if it's still available. I'm not sure if it is. Let me double check. There was an over 2.5 at -150 that I got at Caesars. Let me see if it's still available. Yep, it's still there. So at Caesars, over 2.5 at -150. I think the rest of the market, is above -165. So Caesars is hanging one out there. So if you want to play 3 at a plus number, I don't think that's too bad as well. But Red Star, listen, one of the reasons I loved them last year, and I've loved them betting on them, is that their domestic numbers in Serbia are like out of this world good comparatively to what other teams do in their domestic leagues. It's crazy how good they are. Has not translated to the Champions League this year, in case you haven't noticed, because they have conceded the most expected goals of anybody so far. They conceded 1.3 to Benfica to begin things, 2.8 to Inter, 3.3 to Monaco, and 3.6 to Barcelona. Not good. Stuttgart, though, defensively is horrible. And I'll tell you why they're horrible. It's transition defense. Last season they had 2, Anton and Ito were 2 great center backs who cleaned up a lot of those direct balls when teams try to play direct against them. Now they're not there, and they're having a lot of problems defending that. They are 13th in the Bundesliga in non-penalty expected goals allowed, 15th in final third to box entry conversion rate allowed. But they rate very highly in a lot of other stats. They're top 6 in box entries allowed. They're top 6 in final third entries allowed. They're just allowing a ton of high-quality chances. Their non-penalty XG per shot is second highest, behind only Bochum, who is like the worst defensive team in all of Europe. So Red Star is definitely, they've shown a couple times over the Champions League in years past that they can play direct and they can punt it and they can be good playing that way. Obviously, they control a lot of possession in Serbia, but they have shown and they have a lot of experience now playing in the Champions League and trying to play direct. So the flip side is, though, like I said, they're horrible defensively. Now, Undav is out. El Bilal Torre is out for Stuttgart, but they have Demirovic up there. They have plenty of other guys who can supply him. So Red Star is desperate too. They need points. So this is gonna be like they're gonna try to press high. They're at home. This is gonna be their shot. So over 2.5 minus 150, or if you want to play an over 3 at a decent plus number, that's fine as well. Out of context question: who are your favorite teams to win the Champions League? Bayern, Arsenal, Liverpool, Leverkusen, and I want to say Inter, but I feel like I'm forgetting a team. I'll just say Inter. Those 5. Barcelona. No, I think Barcelona's going to take a little bit of a dip, and I don't really think that I think their ceiling is maybe the highest of anybody, but they also got the lowest floor of anybody here as well. So maybe Barcelona instead of Inter, but I'll stick with those 5. How about that? I'll stick with those 5. All right. Next up, I had Dortmund and Zagreb over 3. They're about even money, minus 102 at Bet365. Yeah, really Leverkusen. I still like them. I think they're fine. No, here's the thing with Lookman and Arsenal. We have Gabriel Martinelli, and he's awesome. We need a striker. It's pretty clear Arsenal needs a striker. We're not going to blank right check for another winger. We have a lot of those. Okay, we need a striker. Who we need, if he's available in January, is Alexander Isak. That's who we need. Moving on, though. Zagreb and Dortmund. I love over 3 here. Zagreb has conceded 10.7 expected goals so far. I will say a lot of those did come against Bayern, but they did concede 1.9 expected goals to Monaco, 1.2 to Salzburg, and then 1.7 to Slovan Bratislava, which is concerning when the worst team in this competition is putting up 1.7 expected goals against you. Dortmund is just horrible in transition defense. And if you've watched both against Monaco and against Bayern, basically all of Dinamo Zagreb's Chelsea should sign Lookman. That's hilarious. Chelsea's another team that needs a striker, by the way. I know people love Nico Jackson. I'm not a big fan. But yeah, I love the over here. Again, Dortmund can't defend in transition. They cannot do it. They continually get beat over and over again. They have these blips like they have against Freiburg, and everybody thinks they're really good. But basically, you even saw it against Real Madrid. I mean, they got blitzed over and over in any type of transition break. But again, Dortmund is a good offensive team. Obviously, as I just pointed out, fellow German side Bayern put up 9 goals and 5.9 expected goals against them. So, I love the over here. Projected 3.73 goals for Dinamo Zagreb and Dortmund. So over there, somebody want to talk about Sparta Prague and Atletico. So I have a little bit of value on Sparta Prague. A couple of things that were kind of concerning to me. Monaco moneyline, Juventus. That's another one I wanted to talk about. Yeah. Monaco, I would pass on. Forgive me. Oh my gosh, I'm just blanking on who Monaco is playing right now. They are playing against Benfica. I actually think Benfica is actually kind of good. They've had a couple of bad performances, especially away from home. But that Atletico performance just still sticks in my mind. They were so freaking good in that, and they have so much attacking talent. I like Monaco a lot. But, one other thing I wanted to mention about Red Star. So Red Star conceded 5 goals against Monaco. Monaco and Stuttgart are like pretty close to mirror images of of each other. Teams that like to press high, teams that like to utilize a lot of through balls. Like Monaco and Stuttgart are the two biggest like through ball teams in Europe. So like mirror image team of a team who just scored 5 goals against Red Star. I think Stuttgart is very live to do that as well. But Stuttgart's defense is terrible. That's why I like the over. If you wanted to play some alts on Stuttgart team totals, I think that's a good way to go about it as well. Sorry, that just popped in my mind when you said Monaco. Yeah, I projected Monaco I like Monaco a lot. I think they're really good. I need to take a deeper look into under 2.5 seems like the play in Atletico. Here, let me just do the Monaco thing really quick. Yes, I have the match projected pretty close to a pick'em. Benfica's been they've been quite good under Bruno Lage, which is not something you would expect from how bad he was during his time at Wolves. But yeah, Benfica right before the international break just hammered Porto 4-1. Even the 3-1 loss to Feyenoord, 1.7 to 1 expected goal. They're a pretty good team. And I playing Monaco at that price at plus 125, I don't like. Monaco has, they've come down a little bit. I believe they were sitting more closer to like plus 115, plus 110 in that range. So I would pass on Monaco. Atletico and Sparta Prague. Yeah. So the line is coming up. I'll say that about this. It was Atletico around minus 150-ish. Now we're getting up into minus 163, which means you can get a decent +1 on a team at home. Atletico's been playing very, very well, though, as of late. They lost back-to-back matches against Lille, a match that they dominated, and then they lost to Real Betis on the road. Excuse me. There goes my mic. They were very, very – they pulled off an upset against PSG on the road, even though they weren't really that good. They were pretty dominant against Alaves over the weekend. It was a very good team. They fell behind and was able to come back against them. The one thing that is kind of concerning about Sparta Prague, and listen, they were very good against Salzburg. They, survived a 1-1 draw with Stuttgart. They got hammered by City. Losing to Brest and getting dominated by them at home, and then drawing back-to-back matches in the Czech First League against mid-table teams. It's just kind of concerning. They're on a really bad run right now. They were on a really good run up until that Salzburg match, but they've won. They've won 1 match out of their last 10. So if you're wondering for a reason why not to play them, I think that's the reason why. Also, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check, but they have a couple of their key guys injured. Let me just double check that. I saw on the injury report. With Portugal, Benfica is not the same team. Maybe not, but again, I don't really want to play them. Yeah. Yeah, their best left winger, Bremisevich, is out for this one. So yeah, it's a huge blow. So yeah, if you're looking for a reason why not to play Sparta Prague, that would be the reason why. So I would pass on that. Any more Champions League questions? Or otherwise, I'm going to move on and run through Europa League here and try to get this in under an hour. Juventus, sorry, yes. You don't get why Juventus is always an underdog. I think this match should be projected closer to a pick'em. Vlahovic will be back for Juventus. Boy, that was a boring match against AC Milan. Oh, my goodness gracious. What was there? A total of 0.7 expected goals created. Oh, my goodness. I've said it before. I'll say it again. You can kill the man, but you can't kill the idea. Juventus is an incredible defensive team. But my goodness, even under Mata, trying to be a team that builds out of the back more, being a team that can try to play through and central progress like that is just, it will work eventually. I'll say that. It will work eventually. In this match, the thing about Aston Villa is they'll kill teams that aren't very good at pressing. But when teams decide to just sit back on them and they can sit in a compact defensive block and they can be really good at doing that, that is where they tend to struggle. And what I would like in this match is I would like Juventus plus a half. I would like the protection of taking them to at least get a draw here. Vlahovic will be back, which makes things a lot better because they were starting Coop Miners and Pedro. What's his name? Conasau, I believe. I'm probably mispronounced that. But they were starting them as like dual strikers against AC Milan, which just didn't work. So having Vlahovic back will be big for them this weekend. So, so I'll be looking further into the Juventus match. I'm staring at the line, plus a half on Juventus is north of minus 150. I don't want to pay more than minus 150 on Juventus. That's a steep price to pay for a match that's kind of coin flippy to begin with. So I'm going to pass on the Juventus match. The under, it's a match that obviously screams under, right? But I mean, under 2.5 is minus 138 right now. So I got no interest in playing that either. So I'll give a couple more minutes here. Any more Champions League questions before we hit the wonderful Europa League? Full Europa League slate on Thanksgiving for all of us in America. Should be a lot of fun. For me, I don't know about you guys. Would you rather watch Bears Lions at 12:30 or Quarabag and Leon? Celtic money line versus Bruges. I think the line's right. I think the line's right. I have Celtic at plus 108. For anytime goal scorers, Ricardo Pepi plus one. No. What is? Pepi has he even been like playing? Let me look up his numbers. Plus 125. That's so. They're playing. Correct me if I'm wrong. I remembered it off the top of my head. They're playing Shakhtar. Who is it? Shakhtar is not bad. I know everybody thinks they are, but they're not bad. All right, so Ricardo Pepi in the Dutch league does have 9 goals and 0.67 xG per 90 plus 125. No. I would probably need like plus 175. Underdog pick. I know everybody loves the underdog pick. All right, you ready? How about an underdog parlay? Here we go. Juventus plus 225. We'll go Juventus plus 225. We'll go Real Madrid plus 290. And Benfica plus 210. There's your underdog parlay. That is a 0% chance of hitting. All right. So any more questions before we get to Europa League? We're going to run through the round robin of goal scorers. Let's round robin. Anybody got suggestions for round robin of goal scorers? While I look this up, let's build this together. What do you say, huh? So throw Harry Kane in there at minus 110. Throw Lookman in there at plus 120. See if we can get to 5 here. Give me throw in Bukayo Saka plus 240. Throw in. So Saka, Kane, Lookman. Hang on. Somebody give me a suggestion while I'm looking up Rafinha's numbers, because maybe him at even money against Brest might be good. I just need to look up his shot numbers really quick. Pulisic is not bad. It's not bad. Maybe we get maybe we need to get an American in there. So Rafinha, he is getting. This is great live streaming right here. 3.2 shots per 90. That's not bad. Thoughts on wonder goal favorite Celtic? I think the line's right, honestly. If we're being honest, I just don't have an interest in playing Celtic at even money here. Bruges isn't bad. They've been okay through the Belgian Pro League. They've been okay in the Champions League as well. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know they played a pretty even match against both Dortmund and against Aston Villa. They beat Sturm Graz on the road. Like, they're a decent team. There's no reason to play against them. Favorite bet of anything is Stuttgart and Red Star Belgrade over 2.5 at -150. That's the favorite. Jonathan David, I hate Lille. I hate them. They're not fun. They cost me money. So I'm going to run through this round robin really quick, and then we're going to move on to Europa League. Okay, here it is. Mbappe +175, Harry Kane -110, Rafinha even money, Saka +240, Lookman +120. There is your anytime goal scorer round robin that will probably blank and hit 0. Bayern or Inter -1. Bayern. I would rather have Bayern. All right. Any more questions before we move on to the Europa League? I got 5 picks in Europa League. All right. Let's move on. We're just going to run through these really quick. Tel Aviv, Maccabi Tel Aviv, +1, -110 against Besiktas. Besiktas is not that good. They really should not be warranting this big of a number here. If you look at what Besiktas has done in the Europa League so far, and their numbers in the Turkish Super League are not that great as well. Here, I'm going to pull them up really quick while I do this. But, Tel Aviv is obviously, the unfortunate situation is they have to play all their home matches at neutral sites. But even their road matches, they got hammered by Ajax. That's fine. But if you look at the expected goals results in their other matches, I mean, they played blanking on the name that they played before Ajax, but they played them very, very pretty tough. Sociedad. If you go look at that match, the expected goals was 0.5 to 1.3. They went neutral site against Midtjylland, 2.3 expected goals to 1.5. And that match against Braga as well, that first match, Braga had a penalty at the end, and it just was a terrible beat for anybody who was with me on Tel Aviv in that match. And yes, they got hammered by Ajax, but guess what? So did Besiktas. They got hammered by them too. Besiktas in the Europa League this season. Again, hammered by Ajax, hammered by Frankfurt. They beat Lyon 1-0, 1.7 to 2.7 expected goals. Then they beat Malmo at home 2-1. Expected goals was 0.9 to 2.3. Why are they laying a full goal here? They're coming up. They haven't won a match in the Turkish Super League since October 20th. They have their expected goal differential this season in the Turkish Super League, which you should be able to dominate if you're going to be like, I get that there's some good teams there at the top, but a lot of the mid-level to bottom level teams you should be dominating. They only have a plus 2.6 expected goal differential per 90. Why are they laying a full goal here at home? Tel Aviv has pretty decent numbers in Israel. Yeah, I like Tel Aviv +1. I think the line's way too high for Besiktas. I don't think they're that good. So I like Tel Aviv +1. Next one is Qarabag and Leon over 3 -1.5. I've said this before about Leon, and I can't remember who wrote the article, but they they phrased it very well. But Leon is a team that wants to play more direct, press high. They say they played these incredibly high scoring matches. Their matches are averaging over 3 expected goals in Ligue 1 this season. But under, gosh, I'm blanking on their man's name right now. Hang on one second. Let me look him up. But it basically called them, under Pierre Sage. They're just rock stars in transition. They're just so good. They have so many guys that can punish you. And Qarabag, their matches, which I found this interesting when I was looking them up, in Azerbaijan, in their own league, they are conceding 1.32 expected goals per 90. Like, that isn't that good, for being honest. And it hasn't translated well to the Champions League. I mean, so far, their opening match against Tottenham, they were playing up a man for literally the entire match because Dragusin got a red card, I think the 7th minute, and they still conceded 1.4 expected goals to Tottenham. Then they went, against Ajax, they got hammered by them, conceded 2.4. Against Boda Glimt, they conceded 2.7 against them, even though they won the match. So, yeah, I like the over 3 here quite a bit. Leon defensively can be exposed in transition. Both these teams play high-scoring matches. So that's the whole gist of it. I projected 3.7 goals for this. So I like over 3 at minus 107, minus 105. Moving on to Lazio and Ludogorets, under 3, minus 118. That's available at Bet365. The other two lines that I mentioned, the first two matches, also both available at Bet365. So Lazio might be like very, very good. And I want to dig into them pretty deeply, and I may do a breakdown of them in some formats. But Marco Baroni has done a masterful job at them so far. They have almost a +1 expected goal differential per 90 in Serie A right now. They are conceding 0.72 non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes, and they have been dominant in the Europa League. If I'm not mistaken, they are at the top of the Europa League table because they have won all of their matches. They held Porto to 0.7 expected goals. They held Twente to 0.3, Nice to just 1 expected goal, and then Dinamo Kiev to 0.5. Who's to say they don't do this exact same thing to Ludogorets, who has shown, especially if you go back to their last match, not the last match, 2 matches before that, they got a red card early on against Anderlecht, and they end up conceding a big chance at the end. But Anderlecht didn't really do anything in that match. I know that at the end it says 2 expected goals, but 4 of their best chances came after the 67th minute. So I don't really see a reason why this total should be at 3. I have it projected at 2.4. Ludogorets, here's a fun stat. In the Bulgarian league, 15 matches, they've conceded 2 goals. Now, obviously, they haven't played anybody near the level of Lazio, but in the Europa League, if you take away that match against Anderlecht, where they were playing down a man from the 30th minute on, against Athletic Bilbao, only 1.6 expected goals. Against Victoria Pleasant, 0.8 expected goals. And against Slavia Prague, 1.2 expected goals. They have been a good defensive team. So I think 3 is really high here. So I like under 3 at minus 118. Here's a fun one. I'm not sure. Is Rigas RFS the Latvian team that's in this? They're like the biggest underdog in this competition. I like them +0.5 against PAOK out of Greece. So, sometimes, and this is kind of, goes more along the lines of with the Europa League and the Europa Conference League as well, which, I typically wait until we get to the knockout stage to play the Europa Conference League stuff, because we have a lot of these teams like Rigas, for example, that's playing in a league that is just so far below anything that, the teams are going to face in the Europa League. So it kind of takes a few matches to feel them out. And I like to gather a little bit more data about these teams. The fun thing about Rigas is, and there's a couple teams in this type of boat, their domestic league is over. They don't play during the winter. So they have already won their league. They can rest up for this type of match and put everything towards it. And their last two matches, coming out, uh, they lost 4-0 to FCSB out of Romania. Galatasaray put up 2.3 expected goals against them, but they drew them 2-2. Frankfurt, they held them to 0.9 expected goals, and then against Anderlecht, they actually won the expected goals battle and held them to 0.7. There's just really no reason why I'm thinking about not playing them. I mean, PAOK, they have not been that good in the Greek Super League this season. Plus 0.4-ish expected goals per 90 minutes. Like, you got to be more dominant than that to garner laying minus 140 on the road, especially going to Latvia. So give me the team from Latvia plus a half at plus 108, and then finally. Midtjylland and Frankfurt over 3 at plus 110. Frankfurt matches in the Bundesliga this season are averaging 3.6 expected goals. And I'll tell you why that is. So they play at a 4-4-2. They like to try and press high, but boy, they are bad at it. They are really, really bad at it. They are, let me pull this up. Hopefully my data sheet actually works, but they are dead last in final third to box entry conversion rate, which already tells me you're terrible in transition defense. They are dead last in final third entries allowed, dead last in passes per defensive action. Again, they are a team that's trying to press high, and they can't do any of that good. So that's why they're conceding 1.7 expected goals per 90 minutes. Midtjylland, typically does play high-scoring matches. Their matches in the Danish Super League are averaging 3.1 expected goals. You have already kind of in the Europa League so far. They have had a couple high-scoring matches, like I already mentioned earlier. Against Tel Aviv, there was 3.7 expected goals in that. Against Hoffenheim, 3.5 expected goals. The last couple matches have been in the 2.5 range. But yeah, I think 3 at plus money is awfully short for a match that I have projected at. Hang on, let me pull it up real quick here. For a match that I have projected at, there it is, 3.97. So over 3 plus 110 in that match. And that wraps up the Europa League. Does anybody have any questions relating to Champions League, Europa League, and maybe even the weekend coming up? Get your thoughts on Tottenham Roma. Well, Vicario's out. So can Tottenham build out of the back with Fraser Foster? But again, is Roma actually going to press them? We'll see under Claudio Ranieri. Ranieri was good at Cagliari, man. He was pretty good there. I think the line's right, though. I have Tottenham at minus 133. The line's sitting at minus 138. Total is sitting at 3 as well. That's where I have it projected at 3.13. So, yeah, it's a pass for me. I think I think it's just a pass. I can't believe Roma's already on their third manager this season. They should have never even gotten past the first one. The first one was doing just fine. So, yeah, nothing for me in that. Trying to think of any early bets that I've played since I'm not going to do a weekend stream. If anybody wants to know I'm going to get all the projections on the Edge screen in my Google Sheet updated tonight. So you'll have that Thursday. You'll have that Tuesday morning. Spurs and Roma, just talked about that. I think the line's right. I'll say this as well. If it gets to +2, I'll take Bodo Glimt against Manchester United. I love the team north of the Arctic Circle. I think they're actually pretty dang good, and they're very dangerous in these type of matches. So if they get to +2 against United, yep, I'm talking about United right now. So not the best match for Amorim to begin. I'll get it. I'll pronounce his name. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. I'll get it correctly eventually. So Bodo Glimt is a team that can press very similarly to Ipswich Town, if we're being flat honest. And I think it's really concerning that United, as currently constructed, can't they can't effectively utilize what Amora wants to do from a press standpoint. They just don't have the players to do it. So that leaves them in like one of two situations, which is basically like either you press high and you don't win anything and you don't win the ball and teams just play right through you, or you sit back, which United has been doing pretty good at, but that's not how Moran wants to play. So yeah, again, if Bodo Glimt gets to +2, I'll take them. I think they're good. They have been pretty good against some of the bigger teams. They have, if I remember a couple years ago, they gave Arsenal a big, either they upset them or they gave them a big scare. I can't remember which one it is. Rangers against Nice. I think the line is correct. Rangers had a draw against Dundee United. I follow a couple people who are heavily tweeting about Rangers, and they're talking about all the concerns with them. Basically, it was like Rangers had a ton of shots. They were just low quality against Dundee United over the weekend. But I think the line is right. I like Nice quite a bit. Nice, great comeback win for Nice against Strasbourg over the weekend. Nice is a very good team. They're very good, very direct team. That match is probably going to be very back and forth. I think the total's at 3, which right where it should be. But yeah, that's good. That's a really fun match. If you're looking for like which match to watch on Thanksgiving, that's probably the one in the 2:00 slate outside of Roma and Tottenham. Early thoughts on Dortmund Bayern. I think Bayern hammers Dortmund. Dortmund can't defend in a low block. They can't do it. You watch them against PSG in the Champions League last year. You watch them against any good team this year, really. 5 goals to Stuttgart, 5 goals to Real Madrid. Like, they are not a good defensive team. I don't care what anybody says. How did Auxerre win? That was crazy. I love that. Porto. I was looking into Porto. Some really concerning results for Porto. I would love to play them against Anderlecht. Anderlecht is a team I've talked about before, but has overperformed their underlying numbers for a really long time. But if you go look at what they've done recently, they actually are improving. They just beat Ghent, who's a very good team in Belgium, 6-0 over the weekend. So I was like, yikes, that's and like I already mentioned, Porto got hammered by Benfica over the weekend. You look at some of their results on the road during the Europa League. It's been bad. Random question: who do you have winning the college football playoff? Well, before I answer that question, does everybody still want a 12-team playoff? Because we only need 4 teams. Bayern -1 early versus Dortmund. Yeah, I would do that. Here's what I'll say. Let me see I want to see if it's still available. So I grabbed a Bayern -145. Let me close up the thoughts on Porto here before I move on. Porto went on the road, got hammered by Lazio. Went on the road to Bodo Glimt and lost as well. It's just concerning stuff, and I don't want to lay them at +130 on the road. So that's Porto. Who do I have winning the college football playoff? I've said Penn State for a long time. I really don't like Penn State. I'm an Iowa guy. I think Penn State's going to win it all. Okay. Now Bayern. Let me pull it up here really quick. If anybody has any dogs. No, Georgia sucks, dude. No, they suck. Carson Beck is. Beck. What did I just say? Carson Beck. Carson Beck. He's terrible. If you don't believe me, go look up his numbers against Texas. So if they have to play them again, I would love to take Texas, depending on what the line is. Bundesliga. Saturday is prime time. 11:30 a.m. Central Time. There is still a Bayern -143. I would play that, Brendan. I would play that. -143. I have Bayern projected more north of -200. They are going to pin Dortmund in. Dortmund's not going to be able to get out in transition. And Bayern is going to score at least 3 goals against them. I love that so much. And I think what you'll see is Bayern will close at around -175 if they beat PSG as well. All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to end this stream. Again, no stream due to the holidays. Just it's just not going to work, and nobody's really going to watch it on whether it be Wednesday night or Thursday. It's just not going to happen. And then I have some exciting news coming out on Monday, so stay tuned to that. I'll give it another. Any other groups you listen to for picks or sharp groups for soccer? Listen to the Ringer podcast with Anthony. Yeah, so here I'll tell you what I do. So I obviously have my own projections that I go off of, and really what I do, I don't really look at other people's picks, not because I think I'm better than anybody, but I just like to come to my own opinions like by myself rather than spouting off something else somebody did. Um, I read a lot of tactical stuff, like from a lot of different people, and that's where I get a lot of high quality information from, rather than seeing somebody else's picks. I just like to come to my own conclusions myself. It's not because I think I'm better than anybody. I just find that I feel like I've done pretty well, kind of doing it on my own, not looking at other people's picks for a while now and not getting influenced by anybody else, whether that be positively or negatively. So yeah, it's not because I think I'm better than anybody. It's just I find that I do better if I come to my own conclusions myself. Sam's show, yes. So watch Sam Ingram's show, the Betting Expert podcast, I believe is what it's called. I believe it's on YouTube or Twitter. Yeah, Sam's a great dude. Yes, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy your time with your family. Yeah, Sam's a great guy. Follow Sam. He does a great job. And yeah, I'm gonna keep doing these live streams, and hopefully, apologies again for the technical difficulties to start everything out. But yeah, I enjoy chatting with everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and I will. We have a midweek Premier League slate next week, which should be a lot of fun. First one of the year. I'm really excited for that. So yeah, there'll be some good news coming out on Monday. Hopefully, good news for you guys. And yeah, we'll see everybody on. I'll do another live stream about probably the same time on Monday night. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, if you want to see, I'll have all of my picks will be out tomorrow morning on Twitter. I'll have all the projections and hopefully the edge screen updated as well for everybody for the weekend slate. The Champions League one is already updated. If you want to go look at it, I will include the link to that sheet in the description once this ends. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Happy Thanksgiving. And as always, good luck with your bets.